Do you want to talk about is this our last subject? The real Doctor Who?
Yeah, now we can go to actual Doctor Who.
Well, I said my piece, and the episode's already out on 50%. So I would genuinely love to hear your opinion.
50% Doctor Who podcast.
You've given your thoughts on the rebirth of Doctor Who, you might say.
Oh God, if you want to call it that.
Don't make me laugh.
Can I play the scary music in the background while you talk about Doctor Who?
Absolutely. Folks, we have arrived at a scary, spooky place in Doctor Who history. The wilderness months are over. It has been announced. We can go ahead and put this up. That this was the Deadline article announcing the end of the Disney Plus partnership with the BBC. Disney Plus officially exiting Doctor Who partnership with BBC after 2 seasons. Now, there was a lot of reactions. People had a lot of thoughts. And it sounds like you and Aiden went through kind of the fan feelings about
Come
it.
off
I mean,
mate. We're here for a laugh.
the article does outline some quite interesting details.
We're here for a laugh.
It was estimated to cost around £10 million per episode.
That is insane. I didn't expect that.
That's in this article right here.
That is, and apparently Jodie's era, which is the last one before the Disney merger, was like $3 million per episode.
I mean, like, what are we doing? The viewing figures, you know, so this was just the article that was announcing it. The BBC also announced that the spin-off to Doctor Who would be airing at the end of this year on BBC and then on Disney Plus next year. And they announced that the show's coming back in 2026 for the Christmas special.
Yeah.
I am personally glad that Disney is out of the picture. I don't think that Disney is a good production partner for a show like this. I think that Disney is just, you know, too focused on the show being as profitable as it can be, and so I don't like the idea that that's driving the show's like production. And so I'm glad that Disney is like out of the picture. I think that's good. However, as a lot of fans have pointed out, I think the problem with Doctor Who recently has been the showrunner, Russell T Davies, and his
Doctor Who.
just poor handling of, you know, the
Everything.
Yeah, everything, really, you know.
Yeah.
There was an article just a few weeks ago about how his production crew basically left a 19-year-old actress, Millie Gibson, who was the star of the first season.
18 at the time.
18 at the time. They like threw her under the bus because they didn't want to, quote unquote, spoil the season. When there are all these rumors going around about her being like a diva and a drama queen. And I'm sure that really hurt her career and frankly hurt her feelings. Like I'm sure it wouldn't have been nice to read all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, she is a Gen Z boss, you know, in a minute.
Bring it back.
Okay, hold your horses on that one, girls.
It was a joke.
And, you know, I just think he's steered the ship in a really poor direction, writing-wise, production-wise, just everything I think has been wrong. So I do think that Russell T Davies needs to leave the show for it to really be reborn, you know, in a way. And yeah, not to mention Billy Piper as the Doctor, which is the elephant in the room I'm sure you're referring to.
Yes.
So this is...
hello.
Now that we've had a few days since the fallout, we are getting some insight into what was behind the deal falling apart. So this was Deadline again reporting why Disney ditched Doctor Who. Sources say ratings, big ticket budget, and MAGA politics were factors in BBC deal failing to regenerate. Oh, boy. They did it. They did a Doctor Who pun.
Doctor Who's exterminated.
There was some interesting details in this. And they did get a more substantial figure for the production. They say here £6 to £8 million per
That's
episode.
I don't know where all that money goes. Maybe I just don't know TV enough.
Putting the value of the deal at as much as £168 million, which is just a fucking insane amount of money to spend on a little silly sci-fi TV show. Like, it doesn't need that much money, guys. It describes...
No, it does. No, you know what? You're so right. Like,
Yeah.
it actually doesn't. Like, generally.
Like, what are we doing?
No, you're so right. It really doesn't.
And I've heard this sort of this thing in creativity where it's like sometimes having limits on your creativity can actually help you to come up with a fucking better story.
They talk about that in the article about 73 Yards, which is an episode that people love, which was really, well, when I say low budget, it was probably 3 million instead of 7.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it was like fans and critics alike said that when Russell was limited with budget, he did so much better.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And they described that the ratings were not particularly
Don't
as
make
good.
me laugh.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, if you bought Doctor Who thinking the ratings were going to be through the roof, then I think you were the fucking idiot doing that.
I agree.
But yeah, look, I think that having a smaller budget, having less resources actually will make the show more creative, in my opinion, because I think it will force the creative team to not just think like, oh, you know, let's do this big whack. You know, when you have sky's the limit on the budget, it's like you think of an idea and nothing holds you back. You don't think, oh, but that would be hard to do. Let's do it this way. You just think of the dumbest, craziest idea and you do that first. When there's limitations, it forces you to go, okay, I want to do this, but then how can we do that within the budget? Then how can we make it cool? And I just think it would lead to some more interesting content. The MAGA side of things is kind of interesting. And I do think the article maybe overstates it a little bit just by putting it in the headline, you know. They wanted the headline. They wanted like the flashy headline. But, you know, it's funny. I said to you earlier this year when Trump was doing the tariffs that, you know, I said most American companies earlier this year were not making investments domestically. They weren't even investing in their own country in America, let alone making investments in like foreign media deals. And so I kind of predicted that because of all Trump's tariff craziness and sort of the influence that, you know, yes, MAGA and like all of that political stuff has on just the way that these big American companies were operating, I didn't think it was going to be in the budget for them to renew the deal with Disney. For Disney to renew the deal with the BBC. I just didn't think they were going to be willing to make that kind of investment in their company when, you know, all the companies across America, across media, across all different sectors were deciding to like keep their money and not spend it. And let's keep the money for what we need to do and for our business operation. So the article does also describe that, excuse me, even before the first season, or excuse me, before the post first season Christmas special had aired, they had already basically decided they weren't going to renew.
Isn't that insane?
So they pretty much knew they weren't going to renew after the first season finished airing and before the Christmas special aired. That's when they were like pretty sure it was.
To give them a little bit of slack, I think the writing was already on the wall with the season. I think it was just so bad that I don't blame them. And you know, it's funny because we have this spin-off coming out this year now, which was 100% not the plan.
Well,
100% not the plan.
I don't want people to think that there'd be no money going either, because it says here, we understand that prior to Disney Plus and the BBC striking the co-production deal, an alternative option was presented to then BBC drama boss Piers Wegner, which would have raised up to £5 million an episode without input from a big American player. This plan could yet be revisited. Now, again, I think $5 million is probably, you know, I don't think you need that much. Probably do it
Depends
for like
how many episodes are in the
half
season.
that. Well, and that's the other thing. Do you want to do $5 million an episode for 8 episodes, or would you rather spend like $3.5 million per episode for like 12 or 13 episodes? You know,
Unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to get that again. 12, 13.
If only, man.
Sadly,
If only.
I think those days are long gone. Unfortunately.
But yeah, so it describes a pretty.
Don't make me laugh.
I think the thing that we can say for sure, for definite, and this is not controversial to say, this is just factually accurate. The BBC Disney deal failed.
That is exactly the word.
Thank you. It just failed. It was a failure. It was a flop. You know, and I don't. You can still enjoy it if you enjoyed that era and you enjoy episodes from it. That's obviously fine, and I enjoy some of the episodes from that era. But you can't deny that it was just objectively not successful at doing what it was trying to do, which was build this like Marvel version of Doctor Who, the Whoniverse, as they called it.
In the Marvel universe.
Yeah, and it just did. I'm sorry, but it just didn't pan out like that. It didn't work out, and I hope they get someone a little bit like more up and comer kind of showrunner vibes instead of this Russell T Davies industry brain guy. I think you need someone who's a little bit more scrappy and up and coming and still trying to prove themselves in the kind of media space. I don't know. I think the show could definitely have a comeback. I think you could have like a renaissance if you redid the show in an interesting way. But I don't know. I think the more we see, the more it's clear that this whole Disney regeneration, so to speak, was not it. It just wasn't what the show needed.
Was this Russell?
Someone is responsible for what happened, and I can't say who that is, but I know it's not me.
Yeah, that sounds like Russell T Davies to me.
Sad, isn't it?
The end of the Disney thing, I think.
Yeah.
For me, I'm glad that the Disney thing is over, but what is sad, I'll agree with you, what's sad is that because of how much they fucked up, like banking on this Disney deal so hard, now, where we are now, until the next episode of Doctor Who, it will have been like the longest break in production since the show came back, and also the longest break in airing of episodes. And that is the saddest thing to me, is because the whole point of Russell coming in and trying to revamp the show
Yeah, no more gaps.
was so that we could have no more gaps and that the show could be like beloved again and all this kinds of stuff. And that is the sad part to me, is that he failed at doing that. He failed at making the show, important and successful enough to be this like yearly thing. He fucked it up so bad that now the gap is going to be nearly 2 years between episodes. Like that's just crazy, dude.
Do you think that if Billy is the Doctor, you said before, or you said something that means that like she will be the Doctor longer than Ncuti Gatwa was for his entire run?
That's right. So if in the next episode Billy Piper is confirmed to be the Doctor, then she will have technically inhabited the role for a longer period of time from her first airing on TV to her last airing on TV than Ncuti Gatwa did, because he took over at the end of the Giggle and then he left at the end of Reality War. That time between the airing of those two episodes will be shorter than the airing between
What timeline
Reality
are we living
War
in now?
and the next Billy Piper
It's
episode.
insane.
It's
I hate
just
it.
ridiculous and
Oh
silly.
my god, it sucks.
And I think if you enjoy the show, I think the only person you can blame for this is Russell, the guy who led the ship down this fucking awful hole. And I've seen people trying to paint this thing that like Disney dropped the BBC and all this kinds of stuff. I don't really buy that narrative. Like, obviously they didn't agree to renew the deal, but the BBC, I think, were just as much interested in having like an American co-production partner as Disney was in owning like a famous British IP. So I think they both got in bed together. I think it was a bad choice on both of their parts. And I think they both probably regret.
Do not come.
I think both the BBC and Disney probably regret making the deal in the first place. So, that's my take.
I mean, it couldn't have gone worse, really, could it?
Yeah, honestly, for both parties, it was an awful failure. Whoever agreed to the deal on Disney's part now looks like an idiot, and then whoever agreed to the deal on the BBC's part looks like an idiot too. Apparently, David Zaslav, I think, Bob Iger.
Yeah, Zazzy's
Zazzy's the Warner Brothers guy.
Warner Bros. Yeah.
Sorry, Bob Iger came back to Disney shortly after the BBC Disney deal was originally struck, and Bob Iger is famously known as not a very
He cuts.
spending. Yeah, exactly. He's not a very spending heavy kind of a CEO. And so, yeah, just to me, the Disney deal was it was a bad idea. It was doomed from, maybe not from the start, but pretty early on it was doomed. I hate to say that, but yeah, I do hope the show is able to come back, and I hope the show is able to be better. None of this is me hating on the show. It's really just hating on the way the show has been handled behind the scenes, the production side. It's just disappointing. And as a fan, I'd like to see them figure out a way to like give the show what it deserves. Give the fans what they deserve,
50% Doctor Who podcast.
Yeah, what am I on the 50% Doctor Who podcast? Jeez.
It's great to hear your opinion about it, because, I mean, we were having conversations last Friday if the show was cancelled. So
That's right.
And we were hanging out together when the news dropped. And it's just kind of, I mean, it sucks. There's an elephant in the room, obviously. It needs to be addressed, and just with Doctor Who, it's just a shame. Honestly, it sucks.
Shambles.